It kind of came out of nowhere. Jonathan Majors his star is one of the hottest rising in the business today. I don't think many people would disagree with that assessment. Coming off of huge performances and awards acknowledgments that he got for being in, what was that damn HBO show that he did? Lovecraft Country. For Lovecraft Country, he was so great in that. He's just continued to be great. He got cast as Kang. He was fantastic in Creed 3. And then, of course, about almost 2 weeks ago now, I guess, we're getting close, this out of nowhere, he got arrested for assault and strangulation, I believe, were the things, stemming from an alleged incident that happened between him and a woman that some reports are saying was his girlfriend. Some reports are saying it wasn't, whatever. It's not really kind of relevant to the discussion right now. Now, what was interesting at the time and what made it seem at the time like this was going to disappear very, very quickly was the fact that very shortly after the arrest was made, I think it was within 24 hours, maybe 48 at most, Jonathan Majors' lawyer put out statements, some very bold statements that basically concluded with, we expect these charges are going to be dropped immediately. We're going to have these charges dropped. And because here's what she said. Let's go over and take a look at this. There are several claims that Jonathan Majors' lawyer made back when this happened. Number one was that the lawyer claimed there was clear video evidence proving that the allegations were false. Majors' lawyer was quite adamant about it. We have video. It conclusively shows that the allegations are false. Okay, good. Next, the lawyer also claimed that there is witness testimony from the driver of the cab in question that proves that the allegations are false. Okay, great. Next, they said there are two other witness sworn pieces of testimony that prove that the allegations are false. Well, awesome. Next, Jonathan Majors' lawyer said that the woman in question recanted the allegations. All right.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking. And then the Jonathan Majors' lawyer wrapped things up by saying, all this proof, she said, we're going to submit this to the DA tomorrow. All this proof, we expect the charges to be dropped. Great. Now that sounds pretty cut and dry. We've got video evidence. We got driver testimony. We got two other independent witnesses' testimony claiming that the woman recanted her testimony. All this stuff, great. This is going to put an end to the story very quickly. Except it hasn't. It hasn't. As a matter of fact, new reports are now coming out that, of course, the Army, which was running an ad campaign with Jonathan Majors, they put a temporary pause on those ads because they wanted to see what was going to shake out with this. But they actually ended up paying, one report says, they even spent $1.8 billion to kind of cancel a bunch of ad buys they had. I mean, the report said 1.8 billion. It might have been I'm guessing it probably meant to say 1.8 million. But at any rate, for ad buys and reworking the ad campaign, all that kind of stuff. And now there's even this news story that Jonathan Majors, I think you have the link there for that, Jonathan. Jonathan Majors was supposed to be a speaker at Penn State. They canceled him at the last second. And again, I get it because you don't want to have somebody who's currently facing charges of strangulation and assault, whether, whatever comes of those charges. Right now, that person is being charged. As of this moment, the charges have not been dropped. So I get it. That's not Penn State saying Jonathan Majors is guilty. No, they're just saying, look, these allegations are your problem. They're not our problem. And if we have you come and speak at our event, they become our problem as well, and we got to deal with it. So we're taking a step back. We hope everything works out. I get it. But again, despite all these things, there was video evidence, witness testimony from the driver, two other witnesses, women in question. Like if all that was absolutely true on face value, then you would think, and because I would think, that, well, great. Majors' lawyer is going to walk into the DA's office Monday morning, submit all this, and the DA is going to go, wow, yeah, okay, yeah, charges dropped. But they haven't. here we are nearly a couple of weeks later, and these charges are still pending against Jonathan Majors. Now, I'm not even here to talk about all the Twitter drama that goes on, because it seems like in the world and time of Twitter, whenever somebody has their name out there, people want to crawl out of the waterwork and say, I think Jonathan Majors is mean. Like, I don't care about any of the Twitter nonsense that's going on. I really don't. But it is curious that here we are weeks later and the charges still stand, which to me implies, and I'm only using the word implies, to me implies that maybe these statements that Jonathan Majors' lawyer made about the definitive nature, how clear-cut all this was, maybe they weren't as clear-cut as maybe they were suggesting. Now, again, we're all in a pure bubble of speculation right now, 100%. This is all speculation right now. I'm just saying, as an outside observer, and I think probably many of you guys at home are in the same boat as me, as an outside observer, when I first heard all the claims by Majors' lawyer, I expected this just to be gone. But here we are weeks later, and all that tells me is that, well, the DA must have something that makes them think they shouldn't just instantly drop the charges. Now, what that is, how serious it is, whether or not Jonathan Majors is guilty or not, I have no idea. I wasn't there, whatever. But it does raise at least a question. What happens right now? Because the longer this drags out, the more of a pain in the ass this is going to become for Kevin Feige and the people at Marvel. Because when this first happened, I thought, well, really, this isn't going to be a big deal for Marvel. Look, if he did it, they'll recast it, whatever. But it sounds like this is going to be forgotten about in a couple of weeks. Well, here we are a couple of weeks later, and it still hasn't been forgotten about. And Marvel's got a time schedule. They've got a timetable to deal with. And what do you do? Now, I get the temptation for people to say, well, Marvel shouldn't do anything because you're innocent until proven guilty. Absolutely 100% for sure. But like I mentioned in the Penn State thing, if you're Marvel, this isn't your problem, right? But if you've got a guy who's currently being charged in court with criminal offenses, do you want to be associated with that? Now, what Marvel is doing right now, what Kevin Feige and Marvel and everybody over there is doing right now, is they're sitting in their corporate offices with their fingers crossed going, please let there be an announcement from a DA's office any minute now announcing that the charges have been dropped so we can just move on with this. But if it goes on much longer, they're going to start asking questions about what they do moving forward. Because, again, Kevin Feige doesn't want to have to get in front of a press event and answer questions about why they have somebody starring in a movie of theirs that is currently facing criminal charges in court for strangulation and assault. And again, if they decide to move on from him, that's not Marvel saying he's guilty of it. It's just saying, hey, this is Jonathan Majors' problem. It's not our problem. And if we bring Jonathan Majors into our productions moving forward, while these charges are still hanging over there, it's going to become our problem. And it's going to become our productions problem. And it's going to become our shareholders' problem. And so it really sucks. And so, again, I guess just the story here is that I'm surprised we haven't had this resolved yet. I hope it gets resolved quickly, man, because after watching Creed 3, not so much Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but after watching Creed 3, I want as much Jonathan Majors on screen as possible. So I really do hope this gets resolved quickly. If it doesn't, though, and I'm just saying, the longer this drags out, there's going to be more and more high-level meetings that are going to happen over at the halls of Disney and Marvel as they try to figure out what their strategy is going to be. Anyway, guys, that's a whole lot of ifs, ands, or buts when we really don't have a lot of concrete information right now. So what do you think about all this at the moment? Do you think this will play out quickly like most of us hope it does? Do you think this could cause longer-term problems? Do you think this is going to be an issue for Marvel? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip the trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And there's no worries if you're not a pro in the kitchen. HelloFresh's foolproof recipes arrive pre-portioned and easy to prepare in just a few steps. You'll be feeling like Gordon frickin' Ramsay in no time. And guys, look, we're always looking for more ways to save
money. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% cheaper than takeout. I've told you guys before, Ann and I love using HelloFresh. Not only is it really easy to put together fantastic looking and tasting meals, but it's also a lot of fun, and you get this really great sense of accomplishment when you're looking at this prepared dish that you've made with your own hands. So go to HelloFresh.com/Campea50 and use the code Campea50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. That's HelloFresh.com/Campea50 and using the promo code Campea50 for 50% off your first box ships free. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.